We've seen plenty of poltergeists on top 15s, but this one is particularly aggressive. Posted to very spooky videos. A major malfunction writes, person captures saucer levitating as poltergeist takes over a room. The video begins in complete chaos as the light from an overhanging fan flashes on and off while the fan is going. Then on the wall, a picture in its frame starts to bang. A moment later, a cup levitates off the table, flings up into the air, and then falls to the floor. The man taking the video gets the heck out of there. That's right, put as many miles as you can between you and that poltergeist. Seems like Mad Max. This creepy doll was found perched on a platform in a graveyard. What is it doing here? Posted to the oddly terrifying subreddit by Blocks. The doll's eyes follow you wherever you move. It appears to be dressed in a baptism garb, and it has 2 sharp teeth and what look like real hair. The doll just keeps watching with its eerie grin as the cameraman takes it in from all angles, while some in the comments explain that these eyes are able to follow you due to the curvature of the glass. That still doesn't explain what this creepy demon doll is doing in a graveyard. Some Redditors want this thing removed from the earth just to be safe, but Geraldine Ferrari writes, its eyes would still follow you. Yikes. What is it about seeing a ghost where you least expect it that sends the most unnerving chills down your spine? Posted by Leo Alcala 213 to the Chills Narrator subreddit. A group of boys are outside at night when they spot this small figure far away, cast in shadows. At first, they see him standing in front of a lit building. Later, the figure is captured in front of another building. From afar, the shadow looks like a youth standing still. The cameraman says it looks like a figurine, although it doesn't appear to be moving. In a later clip, the figure is gone, although some in the comments say the whole thing looks staged. Redditor Gemancini writes, staged or not, it's creepy AF. Extra Serenity adds, you should go back and see if it's still there. Don't think I would heed this advice. A mysterious and creepy video of a seemingly haunted stuffed toy moving on its own has this woman so freaked out that she's probably going to cry. The woman is busy looking at her phone when the object moves towards her multiple times, stopping every time she glances up. Each time its movements are so slight that she's not even sure if the object is really moving or not. At 3 minutes and 19 seconds, she grabs the stuffed toy and brings it near, but less than a minute later, the possessed toy flings itself across the bench and she runs away screaming. I want to say that this video is fake, but you can see the entire room, so if it was someone holding a string, I'm not sure where they would be standing. Exploration Unknown is an adventurous channel based out of Knoxville, Tennessee. The host, John, has been checking out hundreds of weird places around the South for over 3 years now. Usually all he finds is historic architecture, but he's also stumbled into his share of paranormal places, dozens of them. In 2018, he and his friend Tim traveled to the Nemo train tunnel, 6 miles south of Wartburg, Tennessee. Their plan is to walk straight through to the other side. The outside is slowly collapsing and gives off an eerie vibe that they cannot deny. They get their first sign to stay away at 4 minutes and 45 seconds as they stare down the waterlogged entrance.
I don't either. There's a lot of sediment built up in here for sure. Did you hear that howl? Something went, howl.
The same noise is heard again at 11 minutes and 9 seconds.
I keep hearing something. Keep going.
The air grows thick as John and Tim continue to march down the straight path, alternating between wet and dry patches. 2 minutes later, they reach the part of the tunnel where they originally heard the noise, and there they experience one of the weirdest encounters on his whole channel. A shadow passes and something touches John's arm.
Literally just touched my arm.
It's coming around the corner, whatever that thing is. I can still see it. It's come around the corner.
Then when it walks in between them both, it causes their camera to go out of focus.
Something touched my arm, like grazed it.
Dude, as I come around that bend, you can still see it poking its head around the phones. What are you? Hello?
And when they ask if they want to communicate,
Are you trying to communicate with us?
the camera goes back into focus as if it simply walks away, but in its place is a lingering dread that makes them feel unsafe, a slight hum as if the air is electrified.
Sounds like a train coming.
Dude, that sounds like it's coming right at us.
A train horn comes from behind even though the tracks have been ripped up long ago. It's either edited or a ghost train. Not much else happens until they finally see light from the other side of the tunnel. They felt watched this entire time, and John decides to try and convince the spirit to reveal itself on camera once and for all.
Is there anything you'd like to say before we leave?
Believe it or not, that's not even their creepiest ghost train encounter. A year prior, John, Tim, and their friend James all found an abandoned train in the middle of the woods in 2017, probably not too far from the Nemo Tunnel. A broken window in the first car suggests that something could have struck the conductor and stopped the train, where it has remained ever since. In the kitchen, John captures a strange white anomaly head past them, and then the camera mysteriously blurs when they open the door. Now they are in the first passenger car and conclude that something is with them.
Smash that like button for me. What was that?
It's probably just like the tree.
My camera's blurring up real bad.
Oh, don't tell me that, bro.
Yeah, it's blurring up real bad. Okay, there we go.
My camera gets blurry something.
Something is getting mad that they won't leave. They're seeing things at the same time. A shadow that I don't see, but maybe you can.
I hear somebody moving still. Oh, I just saw a shadow again. Hello?
Dude, what the hell was that?
An orb appears at the exact same moment something falls behind them. Tim goes to investigate, and this is when it all goes wrong.
What was that?
Dude, what the? Dude, did you hear that?
Yes.
Dude, what was that? Dude, what was that?
I don't know. Somebody said something.
A noise behind Tim and another in front of John sends them running away. As they squint into the darkness, John thinks he sees something his camera can't detect.
Dude, how do we get into these situations? Seriously.
I know. Dude, I think somebody just peeked out down there.
But as the invisible presence draws closer, they do manage to detect something.
We might want to get out of here, guys. Just in case.
It's the type of slight picture distortion that allegedly happens when a ghost steps near. So light anomalies and picture distortions are all well and good, but I bet a full-sized apparition is what you really came here for. Well, Exploration Unknown has got you covered. In February of 2018, John and Tim explore an abandoned factory that was shut down after mysterious accidents led to speculation that it could be cursed. It isn't long before they quickly agree.
What is it?
Dude, that something's coming against that wall.
Dude. What is that banging?
What is that scream?
I just saw a light, dude. Hold still.
And when walking deeper, the noises grow heavier, more angry.
Sounds like it's about that time in that place. Just going backwards now.
It waits until they reach the far wall and are cornered before revealing itself to their horrified eyes.
Out what that is. Dude, that come from over here. Dude, get out of here! Go, my dude!
John and Tim want to believe that this was just a person fooling with them, but I think we all know the answer. Nobody would be living out here, and I think that's the key word, living. What they saw was not anything close to alive. Think your possessions are safe right outside your home? This series of videos will have you second guessing that. The uploader explains that the first video occurred on a Saturday night in June of 2019. It shows two women on the balcony of a house, innocently looking through a shoe cubby. After checking out a couple pairs, they suddenly race from the balcony. Apparently this isn't their home, and they aren't supposed to be there. These same brazen ladies return in the second video. It appears they felt the need to trespass further. One of the women returns to the balcony, strolling across it at ease. That is, until she notices the security camera posted up in the corner. She laughs and covers her face, quickly leaving the balcony. It's not clear if these intruders made off with anything from the apartment, but Kazium asks viewers to spread the word. If not thieves, it's still creepy to imagine strangers lurking right outside your front door at night. You expect to come across witches at night, but in the broad light of day, somehow that's even scarier. Published in July of 2019, this video purports to show a witch spotted in Mexican ruins. A man is shown exploring the ruins. Little does he know, over his left shoulder, at a short distance, glides the shadow of a witch. At first the men are oblivious, but as they turn around and walk back towards the entrance, the figure appears again. This time not lurking in the shadows, but rather in the light of day. The men are aware of its presence this time, and as they start to exclaim, the witch takes flight, up and away, hopefully as far away as humanly possible. The video is certainly blurry, which makes determining what this figure actually is quite difficult. Steer clear of this swampland. It is home to prehistoric reptiles. Published by MD Starbeast in May of 2022. The YouTuber is wondering what this creature is. Surrounded by lily pads, a snake-like head protrudes from the swampland. It's very still but seems to be rising up out of the water. Is it an eel of some kind? Some obscure reptile? A water dragon? What is your theory? Published to YouTube by Proving Demons in May of 2020. You might want to call your local exorcist after watching this video. The uploader explains that the house they entered is known to have been the site of an exorcism, and they were exploring it to capture paranormal activity. He writes, while experiencing heavy poltergeist activity, I could feel the demon inside trying to possess me as it did the previous owner, who is now insane in a mental institution. From that point, our ghost hunt took a turn for the worst. Let's take that turn with them. After hiking up to the abandoned building and entering through a crawl hole, the crew finds the inside looks like a surreal art shed. Colorful paper lanterns hang, arrows are pointing every which way, all natural light in the place is framed by gothic windows. At first, the general aura of the place is curious rather than creepy. There are lots of scraps of paper posted to a board, a large map, a guitar hanging on one wall. As one YouTuber, Lavender Rainbow, points out, there's a pamphlet on the wall. Later in the clip at 16 minutes 29 seconds that reads, Bipolar Disorder Survival Guide. So maybe the person living here was trying to seek psychiatric help. You find yourself wishing you were there, so you might examine things up close and learn more. But then the crew hears a woman screaming. They head towards a back room, with one of the dudes mentioning that they hadn't even made sure they were alone in this building. In fact, the building looks very lived in, not abandoned. There's what looks like a bed in the next room with blankets on it, a full backpack beside it, clothes hanging. Are they alone? He continues into the next room, hearing others inside, but it turns out just to be his own crew. You can hear a lot of sounds and things moving, like there are animals on the roof. Next, the door closes behind him by itself. They use the EVP to see if anyone's there in the home with them. The quick reply is yes. They also hear the words demon, as well as a warning, get out now. The demon tells them they have no right to be there. Andrew says he's starting to feel affected and his hands are shaking. And moments later, something falls off the shelf. Even scarier are the Polaroids that they find of what appears to be an authentic exorcism or ritual of some sort. What do you think went on in this makeshift cathedral of a home? A possession? Would you feel comfortable in the demon's skin? Uncharted Travel is the name of a ghost hunting YouTube channel who goes exploring an abandoned children's mental asylum at 3 a.m. with over 100 years of terrifying history involving cases of neglect and mistreatment. This derelict mental asylum is supposed to be one of the scariest and most haunted places in Baltimore. Almost immediately, the ghost hunters think they hear movement coming from upstairs, weird noises that I can just barely hear, kind of like children's footsteps.
They're upstairs. There's somebody walking upstairs.
The creepy sounds are followed by much scarier noises. They go exploring the second floor of the not-so-abandoned but almost certainly haunted children's mental asylum in search of the scary noises, and that's when their paranormal investigation uncovers a mysterious brick wall sectioning off a part of the asylum with a child-sized hole in it. It's a creepy moment for sure, and not exactly something you would expect to find at 3 a.m. And maybe it's just me, but this looks like it might be a hidden room with bars behind the brick wall. Across from a children's playroom with two creepy dolls is a holding room with weird drawings on the wall, and much higher up, two round holes, perhaps marking where a caretaker lost their temper. They go exploring the rest of the rooms and start to retrace their steps to see if they missed anything. And that's when one of the ghost hunters has a scary moment and comes running back to the group.
No. The door just opened by itself. No.
Which one?
That door just opened by itself.
I do believe this part, and I'll tell you why. It's because there's an apparition behind them that I bet you didn't even see. As he runs downstairs screaming about a ghost opening the door, a scary ghost face is in the window, eyes and all. It appears again at 28 minutes and 26 seconds, a stretched out ghost face in the window, or perhaps it's their flashlight shining into the dirty glass. I'm not sure which. All I know is a half a minute later, all remnants of this bizarre ghost face in the window are completely gone. So I think it could have been a paranormal ghost sighting after all. Also, when they go upstairs to test the door that the ghost allegedly opens, they get more paranormal evidence on their equipment.
Yeah, you're getting big readings over here, Dan. I wonder why.
The beeping of their equipment turns into a solid note when they get within close proximity to the door. Notice how this solid note of paranormal evidence happens again when he actually opens the door.
Dan, those dolls are in a completely different place from when we last saw them.
Coincidentally, this is the same door leading into the children's playroom, and unless the ghost hunters repositioned them, at least one of the two creepy dolls moved by itself since the last time they were in here. So yeah, don't go exploring this abandoned mental asylum at 3 a.m. because apparently you'll see some truly weird things. A Pakistani health and beauty channel called Beautify With Me recently caught a creepy sighting on video that has left them horrified. A hooded figure in black robes is caught on multiple CCTV cameras, haunting the outside of their house. It looks pretty scary until the figure walks by the first camera, at which point you can see they are wearing sneakers or some kind of modern looking footwear that doesn't exactly match the rest of their spooky outfit. Still, this video is a major departure from the rest of their channel, and this is a really weird video to fake a day before Christmas, so maybe it's real, not necessarily a real ghost video, but maybe a creepy stranger encounter caught on CCTV. Whatever it is, the mysterious figure hasn't shown up on her security cameras since, and hopefully never will. While exploring this haunted place, this paranormal crew discovers that entities manifest in the mirrors, published by Albert of the Arch. They search the home when they spy this. While the white object looks spooky at first, hanging there in the hallway when they approach, they find it's a piece of paper posted on a door. As they continue their search and discover a door to an attic above moving on its own.
Ok. Bueno, pero eso puede ser el viento. Está en un exterior, entonces se cuela el aire con esto.
Later, while they're all in one room, a shadow passes by a mirror in the adjacent room. No one is there. They don't know what to make of it.
Pues sabes que uno de los implementos que me gusta muchísimo para este tipo de lugares, que me gusta muchísimo para este tipo de, que me gusta muchísimo para este tipo de, muchísimo para este tipo.
Not long after, while they're speaking over a statue of Jesus, a faint scream is heard in the background. Is that scream coming from the entity in the mirror? Sounds like it wants out.
Cuando estas energías vienen a la luz, ya no pueden salir. Se hace como una especie de lugar que los bloquea, ¿sí sabes?
Don't you hate it when you're alone in your haunted house and the ghost girl comes out to play? Published in March of 2018, YouTuber Gencor shares this video of what he claims is the Ortega ghost girl. The man taking the video greets viewers, showing them around his living room. He then gives us a tour of his home. At one point, a stand-up fan in one of the rooms falls over, apparently of its own accord. You'll find out later that this is the haunted room. He leaves, lights an incense stick, and after a while returns to the scene of the incident. A toy moves out from under the bed as the man speaks to the spirit, saying they told him she wanted to talk to him and that he's going to close the door. You hear a sing-song voice, that of a little girl.
Dios santo. Dios dijo hola.
When he shuts the door again, a loud banging is repeatedly heard.
Tengo miedo, la verdad. Tratando lo suficiente.
He opens it to find a basket in front of the door, not where it was last seen. Needless to say, he hightails it out of there. If you have no idea what's going on here, Aries Bautista has you covered in the comments. She writes, the girl played 3 times hard. He should not have opened. It is assumed that by touching 3 times, he opened a portal that the demons used to enter. Well then I guess he should have kept that portal closed. One door shuts, another opens. YouTuber Just Paranormal published this video in March of 2018. One of the dudes in the video says this paranormal footage was filmed in his home. This shot was directed at him in the darkness, and over his shoulder behind him, a door slowly swings closed on its own. They were renovating the bathroom, which is where the door closed. The man explains that the house was once owned by his mother-in-law, although they don't know whether or not anyone passed away in the home. His sister-in-law dabbled in witchcraft in high school, and as the boys note, you never know what you're getting yourself into with that stuff, and this may have contributed to the strange happenings occurring within the home. At the time, he's been documenting all the events occurring in his home, and when he heard footsteps, he started filming. This is why he was able to capture the door closing on video. He then runs over to the door, opening it to find no one there. There's no fishing line on the doorknob. To cover all the bases, he explores his home the next day to see if air vents could explain the door closing. Nothing natural seems to explain this event. Could it be supernatural? What do you think? Office pranks are usually harmless, but when the mastermind behind them is a poltergeist, who knows what the end game is? Published to YouTube by Indo Crop Circles in July of 2017, this clip of some unusual happenings in a Malaysian office was caught on CCTV. The footage shows a man working in your everyday office alone at night. He sits down at his desk and is involved in his task at hand when, off to the right, a chair spins. He sees the movement out of the corner of his eye and looks over. As he's gazing at the chair, another to his left pushes back from the neighboring desk, as if a phantom worker is sitting in it, being preoccupied with the first chair. The worker doesn't notice the second one, but he does notice when paperwork flies from the countertop out of nowhere. That's when he spins back from his seat, looking under his desk for any signs of what may be causing this mayhem around him. He stands up and picks up his phone, presumably to call for help. Although burning the midnight oil may send you up that corporate ladder, is it really worth risking an encounter with the paranormal? While walking in the Fox family cemetery, this couple's dog started behaving strangely. published by Matthias Ager in November of 2013. This footage captures the dog freaking out about something unseen. Only a few gravestones are scattered throughout the fallen leaves, and the cemetery is empty, except for all those below the ground, of course. The dog appears on high alert and is looking in one direction in particular, at this gravestone. He even starts growling and backing away from it. What does he see? Well, many in the comments are telling the trio to leave. Bushy Brow Sensei agrees, writing, I was thinking maybe the dog could smell the remains, but that last reaction was definitely fear. I think it's time to go. There's a YouTuber named Anonymous Web who's developed a scary habit, the need to buy scary things off of the deep web. His channel has only been around for a few months, and already he's gotten himself into more trouble than he was expecting, but more on that in a second. First, let's go over some of his most recent buys. On March 7th, 2020, a deep web package arrives after a 3-week wait. Anonymous Web had already given up hope that he would ever get it, and figured he had been ripped off. Seeing it in person fills him with unexplainable dread before he even opens it, because he had ordered it from a website about witchcraft and demonology. Inside is a colorful doll with a dark message. Pins are stuck in its feet, face, and forehead. A yellow page appears to be instructions to do some sort of ritual. Here are the steps. First, he sprinkles some kind of black ash around the doll in a circle. Tell me if this looks like someone's cremated remains. Next, he puts the candles on both sides of the doll. The lighter that came in the box doesn't work, so he gets up to find another one. And at 17 minutes and 35 seconds, something happens. The doll appears to move ever so slightly. If this was someone's remains, then maybe he transferred their life into the doll. Anonymous Web doesn't think much of it until he gets another potentially possessed dark web doll on May 16th, 2020. He buys the box from the same person, which doesn't make sense if he thinks the first one didn't work, but maybe he saw the part where it moved and bought one more. The doll has a male symbol on its forehead, to the right of which is a triangle, perhaps an all-seeing pyramid eye, with black spikes pushed through. Holes are drilled in the mouth to form a wicked smile. A burnt letter is soaked in something. It reads, "In night I seek, in dark I breathe, and if you say its name twice, the curse is said to end your life." Its name is Ken Ken. You're only supposed to say it twice, but Anonymous Web says it 3 times just to be sure.
Ken, 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 Ken.
A big mistake he later regrets. It looks like he uses one of the candles to set the doll's dress aflame. You can hear him pick up a candle and slam it down really fast. But look again, there's no candle where his free hand is. He even puts paper down where the candle would theoretically have to be. There are only 2 candles within reach, these 2, and he clearly doesn't touch either of them when the doll goes up in flames. The reason why I've shown you these 2 videos is to better explain the third. On June 2nd, 2020, exactly 13 days after releasing the curse of the previous doll, something began rummaging around his bedroom from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. It starts around his dresser. Then it moves to the far wall. After pulling on the doorknob with all its strength, it sounds exhausted afterwards and can't get free. After a long time, it returns to stomp across the room. And later that night, it gets out. So this would be terrifying if it was real, but I'm not sure if it's fake. I think he could have been standing behind the dresser and pushed the flowers over himself. Likewise, he could have reached around and opened the drawers himself. The footsteps and exhale would have been his own. He could have touched the bed himself off camera to make it squeak, but I don't know how he moved the picture. That's really strange. And then there's the very end when he comes back into the room and sees his room is messed up.
Yeah, you.
Someone could have shut off the camera from the bottom, but at 2 minutes and 7 seconds you can see the entire doorway immediately after it happens, and no one is there. In the moment, you might not catch some unexpected apparition appearing around you. It's only when you play that moment back that you find it. Published by William Villas in September of 2013. He writes in Malay, "This video was filmed on August 3rd, 2013 when we were waiting for the troops to have a video clip that was still unavailable. The video shows a group of men sitting and talking in the darkness. They appear to be sitting in a stairwell as they laugh, completely oblivious to what's going on around them. You see a girl dressed in white with long black hair and shoulders hunched forward pass by slowly at the top of the stairway. The men must not have noticed in the moment as they continue on as usual, but they sure must have gotten the scare of their lives when they watched this clip back later on, only to make this mysterious and unexpected discovery. Once you see the apparition, you watch it again, over and over, because you can't look away from it." A YouTuber named Yuya makes a video about microwavable desserts, but it accidentally turns into a creepy doll video instead. The doll is caught moving on camera at 7 minutes and 14 seconds.
Los amo con el alma entera.
The doll moves its arms by itself at the end of the video for no reason at all. It has nothing to do with the topic of the video, and everyone is pointing out how weird it was. I don't think she was doing this for views, because if so, then it would most likely happen in the very beginning. Besides that, with over 20 million subscribers, Yuya is already a successful YouTuber and wouldn't need to do something like this for attention anyway. It never happens again, and hasn't happened since as far as I know. But if any other creepy doll videos end up on her channel, which I have a feeling they will, then I will be sure to give them a full analysis. A ghost hunting channel in India called Ye Kayatha knows of a haunted railway where plenty of lives have been lost and therefore plenty of paranormal evidence to be found. K2 meter in hand, they walk down the paranormal path and wait for a sign. Occasionally they feel watched and stop to scan the horizon, but nothing is there. Soon a general feeling of unease becomes so unbearable that they stop to put down the K2 meter. They know a life was lost here and a ghost is nearby. They can feel it, and then
एहसास करवाएं वैसे आपने करवा दिया है
भाई रीडिंग देखो कितनी तेज आई है
अच्छा हमें साइन मिल रहा है
The ghost hunters aren't surprised to see the K2 meter spike hard for the very first time all night. They stand around for a long time staring into the darkness and getting nothing on camera, but just when they're about to give up,
कबीर भाई सामने देखो
वहाँ पे
जसी भाई
they go a few steps forward but stop when they realize the ghost has disappeared, or at least that's what they claim. They should have kept running if they wanted to prove it really was a ghost, but they were so creeped out by that point that maybe they didn't want to. It's easy to say that this is fake because they don't go forward far enough, but you never know how you'd react until you're the one having a ghost sighting. This paranormal ghost sighting video could be real. When the passed on are literally beneath your feet, you're bound to step in something. Published to YouTube by Exploring with Eric in May of 2020, Eric visits a graveyard at 3 in the morning in his new series, The Devil's Hour. My objective is to document all sorts of evidence that relates to the paranormal world, whether it be poltergeist activity, any shape or form of apparitions, etc. by using my basic ghost hunting equipment. In this series, you will see myself investigate alone. During the first episode, he gets more than he bargained for. While in the cemetery, Eric finds a mausoleum. After hearing a loud knock during a spirit box session, the glass door closes. He then says he heard someone's voice and he hopes there's no one here messing with him. Just as he decides no one's there, after wandering around the premises, he hears footsteps.
I'm gonna go ahead and show you exactly where I want to show you.
He runs up the stairs to the second floor to see who is there, but there's no one. He notices that the doors are open to the outside. As he shows his viewers a fountain in the middle of the mausoleum, he hears footsteps again. He returns to the inner mausoleum, where the doors are again closed. Finally, he decides to leave and it's standing outside, saying he'll return again at some point. But as he pans around, a large shadow figure moves behind a nearby tree.
It's too much for me right now to handle, and like...
What was that? Is that what's been watching him? It's probably time to say goodbye. Think your possessions are safe right outside your home? This series of videos will have you second guessing that. The uploader explains that the first video occurred on a Saturday night in June of 2019. It shows two women on the balcony of a house, innocently looking through a shoe cubby. After checking out a couple pairs, they suddenly race from the balcony. Apparently this isn't their home, and they aren't supposed to be there. These same brazen ladies return in the second video. It appears they felt the need to trespass further. One of the women returns to the balcony, strolling across it at ease. That is, until she notices the security camera posted up in the corner. She laughs and covers her face, quickly leaving the balcony. It's not clear if these intruders made off with anything from the apartment, but Kazium asks viewers to spread the word. If not thieves, it's still creepy to imagine strangers lurking right outside your front door at night. Picture this. You're surveying an abandoned room when you see this. Published by Oliver Fuhr in March of 2022, this scary video and image are trending in the Spanish-speaking YouTube community. It looks like this was once a classroom. All the desks and chairs are piled into a corner of the room. As the camera pans around in the darkness, it captures a bureau. There are books, papers, and magazines piled within each cupboard, except for this bottom one. What is that? In a half-open cupboard appears a young girl with long black hair, wearing a white dress. Her face looks skull-like, not human, maybe demon. The cameraman doesn't appear to see her in the moment. He continues to pan around toward the windows, and when he swings back, the cupboard is empty. What is this figure? And where did she go? She's probably behind you. This stranger in a hockey jersey demands entry. Would you let him in?
Let me in.
Published by Sam Maloney in May of 2022, this Ring doorbell camera captured this man's attempted entry on video. After being dropped off by a white car that drives away, the man walks up the stairs and rings the doorbell a couple of times. He speaks in a strange, froggy voice. He continues to growl at the door.
Let me in. Let me in.
Alexa then asks him what his intentions are, and he responds,
Let me in.
This is Alexa. What is the purpose of the visit?
I require entry.
After demanding entry, the man disappears from the camera's sight, but it's not clear where he went. He didn't retreat down the front stairs. Did he find a way in through the door or a window? You and me are left with more questions than answers. In Toy Story, the toys come to life in a charming manner when the kids are away, but when it happens in this video, it's more chilling than charming. Originally posted to TikTok by Oscar Ferlin, the video shows a Woody doll standing upright on the kitchen counter with one hand on a can. Noticing that a human person has entered, the doll glances over at him before dropping his hand, going stiff like a board, and falling over backwards into the kitchen sink. Although it truly does look eerily real, some claim it's an animation, while Redditor Anna Cabana says the dolls are designed to fall over in this manner when hearing the phrase, "Someone's coming." Regardless of whether it's an animation or the toy's design, I think we can all agree with Mythical Gamer 9 who writes, it looks a bit too real, still very creepy, definitely not a toy on my wish list. Brian Wood is not home when somebody he doesn't know decides to enter his home in Belen, New Mexico. All he can do is watch helplessly as they violate his home, walking out with item after item of things he's worked hard for. Knowing the police are on the way gives Brian some relief, but it doesn't do much good when somebody enters the same room as your pets and you have no idea what they intend to do to them. The intruder doesn't seem to care about his cat. He's done this many times before and is so at ease that he makes a phone call. When he walks around a stranger's home, talking to someone about the items he's taking, while ransacking drawers and jacket pockets. By the time he's through, he's standing right in front of a security camera. He doesn't even seem fazed or worried about getting caught as he palms it and leaves. Cops arrived minutes too late, but he was caught the next day. He makes no attempt to conceal his face or fingerprints, so I'm not surprised. If Brian didn't have this creepy encounter recorded on live stream, it would have been a lot harder. This old dormitory has a story to tell. According to the channel 01 Supernatural Studio, who published this video in February of 2022, this dormitory was left behind by a foreign company after an incident happened in this place. What type of incident though? Well, he doesn't go into detail, but considering the company left this place abandoned, it must not be a good one. Using thermotechnology along with an EMF meter, the ghost hunter quickly detects some energy here. As he's exploring the place, he's ascending the stairs when his EMF meter again detects an energy field. His thermotechnology spies what looks like a figure in the corner. Later, while he's standing still, he hears a faint noise coming from somewhere within the house. Who is there with him? Maybe this dorm hasn't been abandoned after all. If you insist on insulting a ghost, then you're really asking for it. Published in April of 2022, this guy is taunting a ghost at Camp Shields. When it responds in kind, first it knocks back.
Show me. Show me. Prove to me that you're do it, pussy. What, you mad? Show me. Swing some.
Then it appears. Moments later, a second cupboard swings open and something clangs inside. It sounds like something is growling inside there.
Hey, chill the
And a shallow roaring occurs one last time.
Hey! Cut that off.
What is hidden in this closet at Camp Shields? I'm not sure we want to know. Exploring this horror colony will leave you horrified. Published by Black Shadow in April of 2022, the team first attempts to climb this rickety ladder to get inside. After seeing how unsteady it is, they make their way around the building. That's when they hear something in the surrounding trees. Once inside, things are falling apart around them, or are they being purposefully broken? It certainly seems like something is stalking them. Is it the long-lost clan of the horror colony?
Hey!
Going to medical school presents many challenges: high tuition, debt, and the occasional wild animal encounter. If you were coming up the steps and saw a Black Panther animal barreling at you, you would almost certainly run. Big mistake. It's already in motion and your panic would trigger its instincts. You're not getting far. The panther starts to go into someone's room, but something makes it think twice about going in. It probably doesn't like being cornered with one exit and chooses not to go further inside. The college in Karnataka, India went into lockdown as a result of this scary CCTV video. Yeah, I guess that would do it. I should point out that this isn't all that uncommon in schools across India, and I found some other creepy videos too. Here's a leopard at a college in Nainital. Thankfully, the only prey he finds is a car passing by, but imagine a college student looking at their feet walking along this fence. They'd never see it coming. I just hope everybody's alright. Do you hear noises from the attic where no one lives? There are only a few explanations: animal, squatter, or ghost. Which one explains what happens next? Published to YouTube in October of 2015 by Chris Court, the uploader writes, I kept hearing strange sounds coming from the attic of the old apartment building I am currently at in Italy, and decided to set up a camera. What I saw when I went to grab the camera a few hours later was shocking. The place is still and silent at first, but then a chair in the back of the room moves all on its own. A couple seconds later, it moves again. The ghost then decides to play around with the old school rocking horse. At first, it simply rocks back and forth, but before long, it quite clearly moves from side to side, even sliding across the floor a little. It almost appears animated. Is there a child ghost playing around in the attic? If so, I wouldn't recommend joining in on the fun. Old ship vessels are often known for their ghostly secrets. After all, they've seen the greatest evils on Earth in the name of battle. Published to YouTube in February of 2013, the ghost activity aboard this Navy ship, the USS Hornet, originally aired on DE episode 32. The crew member can be heard explaining how to use the EVP. When in the background of his discussion with the newbie, you can hear a strange voice, one that sounds like a little girl.
Alright, if you'd like to speak to us. Alright, if you'd like to speak to us.
It's hard to tell what the girl is saying without the voice being isolated in the audio file, although YouTube commenters have their theories. YouTuber Madcaps and Nemos writes, it sounds like she said, can you tell me why they forgot me? Others here, do you think they know they got me? Some simply hear, play with me. What do you hear?
Alright, if you'd like to speak to us. Alright, if you'd like to speak to us.
Well, inside this haunted house, these ghost hunters are lured into the forest. Published by Lomar Mendez in October of 2021. The pair consider whether or not something is in the house with them, and as they explore the house, they hear something.
The house is probably creaking.
Their camera's light appears to be malfunctioning, and soon they become positive that someone else is here.
Someone's here, someone's here, someone's here, someone's here.
As they wait in fear, they hear a strange noise from the next room, and then they see the figure. They take this as their cue to leave. While they do escape the house without incident, they're being followed, but the big reveal is yet to come. Well, this is a pretty messed up thing for a dad to do. These two should look on the bright side. This could have ended so much worse. When you're arguing whether a shirt is red or maroon, the ghosts in your presence will know they've had enough of you two. Published to YouTube in May of 2020, this is what happens when a ghost gets fed up with your bickering, throws up his hands and storms out of the house he's haunting. The uploader explains that during their last visit to this place, they experienced the door slamming but didn't have a chance to record it, so this time they returned to capture it on film. This video is cut down to 3 minutes of the 50 that were recorded. The clip shows the boys arguing whether or not one of their shirts is red, before deciding to call it quits with the filming, since it had been nearly an hour. Just then, something clearly slams in the distance. The uploader says his friend thought it was the hinges of the door rather than a ghost, but decides that the video is proof it wasn't the hinges. He also claims that he and a friend saw a shadow person in this building as well. The uploader writes, "Something said that it could have been air in the last upload, but it wasn't sure. The thing, if it was air, it would have opened it. The air is coming from outside, so it would push out to open. Instead, what we caught was a ghost slamming the door the opposite direction of where the air was coming from, so the force of the door slamming was going against the air." This was filmed in Harlingen, Texas, and there wasn't much airflow in the place according to the uploader. The group was sweating from so much stale heat. Well, maybe the ghost was too. If you've ever known someone with a sleeping disorder, then you know there's tons of tossing and turning involved. But what if it's not a sleep disorder at all? What if it's paranormal? Posted to very spooky videos by a major malfunction, the Redditor writes, "Ghostly apparition appears near patient being studied for sleep deprivation and restlessness." According to the video, this is real CCTV footage from Kerala, India. A boy was being surveilled due to sleepwalking, but perhaps he was sleepwalking for a reason. The footage shows the boy sleeping, or trying to. He covers his head completely with his blanket, as he appears to be dozing on his side. The next moment you can see a vague white figure appear to climb on top of the boy. Although you think it might be a trick of the light, in that same moment, the boy reacts startled, as if he feels the figure. Both of his hands fling, as if the spirit momentarily enters him. The video isn't without skeptics. Redditor the Common Law Wolf suggests in the comments, looks like a VHS CCTV system. If so, this is probably just remnants of previous recordings showing up on a recycled tape. Could be, or it could be something paranormal is in that room. A paranormal crew communicated with numerous unearthly entities in this haunted place. Published by Paranormal Voyages in January of 2022, the crew first records a disembodied voice that they don't seem to hear in the moment.
Yeah.
A moment later, while they're communicating through the spirit box, something appears over one of their shoulders. They then hear what sounds like a scream.
Like a scream. Yes. It's a scream.
Oh, that was disembodied.
That sounded like it was disembodied to me.
It was a scream.
The spirits tell one of the crew to move forward.
Something's telling me for you to move forward a little more.
What? What the heck was that? You hear that?
Whoa. Oh.
I want to move forward.
Later, while using a Kinect, an anomaly is detected. After being bombarded with questions, the spirits have a question for the crew.
But why? Oh! No.
Oh my, did you hear that whisper? But why?
But why? I asked for a baby.
Yeah.
And we said no, and it goes, but why?
While they continue to communicate, one of the crew feels a sharp pain in his heart.
What? Jeez. My heart just hurt. You alright? Yeah, I think. That was like a sharp pain.
Back with the Connect, another anomaly makes its presence known. What do all these spirits want with the living? Maybe if we listen closely, we'll hear it. Sometimes that mysterious noise is your haunted ice maker. Other times, things are even more chilling than they seem. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Oran Javi, and originally posted to TikTok by Pershka. This one is sure icy. According to the TikToker, she was intending to capture a scary sound her ice machine kept making on camera, but instead she got a lot more than she bargained for. As she walks from the living room to the kitchen, for a split second while the lights are off, you see a little girl standing there in the darkness next to the ice machine. Watch carefully. It's just for the slightest of moments before the light flicks on and she disappears. The girl is pale and dressed in black with long black hair. She stands there motionless before vanishing into thin air with the light. Coupled with this is the eerie sound the ice machine truly was making. It sounds like the windy moans of a ghost. Tima2013 writes in the comments, I have that same ice machine. It does not make that sound. Yikes. Yikes is right. You never know who is waiting in the darkness for you. Imagine being the spirit of a child, still stuck in the world. Why are you there? What do you do in the interim? Clearly the answer is to play around with the living. Originally posted to TikTok by Dries Perry, a Redditor wonders what Reddit thinks of these TikToks. Let's take a look. In the first clip, Perry says he's convinced that this room in his home is haunted. After shutting the door so it doesn't scare his daughter, he speaks directly to the ghost, inviting him to reveal his presence in some way. At first, the ghost is hesitant, but soon after, a can on the table flips over onto its side. After returning to the room, he asks the spirit to move something else. A toy car begins to slowly roll across the same tabletop. Seems like someone is ready to play. Redditor Hollow Planet writes, this is exactly what the poltergeist I had was like. During round 2 of attempting to communicate with the spirit in the toy room, Perry decides to try and play too, since many of his commenters on TikTok were theorizing that it was a child ghost. After asking the child ghost to play, a ball is tossed his way from a nearby shelf. He shows the camera up close that there are no strings attached to the wiffle ball that rolls to stop at his feet. He asks the child ghost to knock 3 times if he's nice. After you hear 3 clear knocks, Perry says he's done.
Could you knock 3 times if you're a nice ghost? I don't know. Okay, guys. Yep, I'm done. I'm done.
Already? The kid just wants to toss a ball. Redditor ZRyan3564 writes that he's jealous the ghost is so vocal. It seems he or she wants you to accept it, so it's doing everything you ask. Ryan says, would you accept this playful ghost, or would you lock up this room and throw away the key? When demons speak, you listen. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Regal. The Redditor explains that he and some friends listened back to the voice recording of an EVP when they heard this demon or spirit, which sounds like it's speaking directly into the recorder. In the recording, you can hear the group asking the spirit if he can let them know he is present.
Just let me know you are here. See, it's a roach party over here.
After asking this question a couple times, a clear voice is heard, and he wants one thing from the living. He wants them to get out. In the Reddit thread, Regal explains that a neighbor from his apartment complex in Reno, Nevada, told him that he'd seen a tall shadow man in the mirror, leering behind him. Then they experienced some poltergeist activity as a protein container threw itself across the room at them when they entered the neighbor's house. He suspected the demon also possessed his neighbor, as the man kept blacking out, only to awake standing in the corner of the room. The neighbor also suffered from unexplained scratches on occasion. Redditor Jazzed Out writes, "That sounds like a malevolent spirit to me, and not a demon. And to add to this, demons are easier to identify when and if they speak, because they will be speaking in a language called Aramaic, which is more difficult to understand. Demon or malevolent spirit, to be honest, don't know which is worse. A ghost town in the middle of nowhere under a red moon. What could go wrong?" Published to YouTube by T-Phil in October of 2019, the T-Phil crew tests the waters overnight at an abandoned ghost town, which they say includes more than 200 acres, 40 buildings, and even 2 miles of underground tunnels. The crew says this mining ghost town has major Hills Have Eyes vibes, and it sure looks like it. As they start to enter buildings, one that they think is occupied has its lights on, but no one is home. The calendar hanging on the wall is from 2007. They climb broken wooden scaffolding to enter more buildings that have cages inside. After exploring a bit more, they're confronted by a man named Jasper, who asks them why they're filming on his property. In the end, the man softens, telling them to be careful and lets them go on their way, telling them not to damage or take anything. They extend their conversation with Jasper, asking him if there's any paranormal activity up in the area. He says he hasn't experienced any. The crew is still a little shaken from the encounter, but they return to the mines to do their thing. The tunnels inside the mine are nightmarish, even more so when they start hearing something walking above them, but they continue finding a bat in the caves along the way. When they exit the mines again, they split up as they continue to explore and come back together. They hear some screaming that they consider might be a coyote, but then decide sounds human. Worse, loads of voices are then heard, lots of banging of metal, and someone saying you shouldn't be here. According to the crew, after calling the police and reporting the incident, they found out that the people who own the property have a history of scaring the pants off of trespassers like this. I suppose that's one way to get your kicks as the sole residents of an isolated ghost town. Published to YouTube by Proving Demons in May of 2020, the channel writes, "We returned to the most haunted Poltergeist school and captured insane paranormal activity on camera, from ghosts manifesting to things moving on their own, as well as a strange incident of a supernatural nature. This haunted school in the United Kingdom is apparently known for its poltergeist activity. As with most abandoned and reputably haunted places, the school is in shambles, wrecked and damaged by trespassers, age, and maybe even the spirits that haunt the place. Once inside the school, the group of investigators hears a humming that they say sounds like a generator, which is strange since the power is shut off in the school. Through the video, strange noises are heard. Knockings, a woman's wails, a sound like a shower is running. One of the spookiest sounds, though, which the crew seems to hear recurrently, is that of a young girl crying. At one point on the wall, they spot a message that reads, Dan PD. Could that message be directed at Dan from the Proving Demons crew? As they're examining the message, a noise is heard. Something from the ceiling fell out on its own, causing the lot of them to jump in fear.
Dude, where did that come from?
In the basement, they tune into the spirit box. When asking if anyone is here, the spirit box answers, "I'm here, mate." When asking where the spirit is, a voice says, "Gymnasium." What happened in the gymnasium of this school? Whatever did, it's not leaving. If your house was haunted, would you stay, or would you sell it for $100? Abdul Karim published this haunting video, claiming that the house's owner is trying to sell the house for exactly that, but there is yet to be a willing buyer. From the get-go, it's clear something is in the house. As the video begins, a loud bang is heard on the top floor.
Allahu Akbar! Allah, هذا مكان مسلمين!
The man taking the video cries out as he climbs the stairs, walking toward the room from where the sounds are coming. As he does, the shattering of glass is heard downstairs. It seems there is more than one ghoul haunting the place, or maybe just a very energetic one, moving all the way over the home. He leaves the downstairs ghost to himself for a moment and continues forward, entering the haunted room. After walking in, it appears as though nothing and no one is there, but the door slams behind him. He rushes over and swings it open, but it slams aggressively closed again. Breathing heavily, he races out of the room. The door slams 3 times, over and over behind him. Finally, it slams closed for good and appears to be shut. The man, getting a second wind of courage, goes and kicks it open. He walks in the room, scanning the premises. Again, there's nothing to be found, but yet another door inside the room begins to slam shut as well. It does so repeatedly. The man walks towards it and around it. Nothing is there. No one is kicking it or causing all of this mayhem. It could only be the paranormal. As he enters another room, leading to a large outdoor balcony, something slams into the hanging overhead light, glass shattering, and the light swings back and forth. The video ends here. After watching it, there's little wonder no one is willing to pay even $100 to purchase this home. Who wants to live with all that racket? I certainly wouldn't. While streaming live at a New Orleans graveyard at night on February 8th, 2020, Franco TV encounters not the undead, but the living. In the beginning, he describes his first encounter with a man in the graveyard, explaining that he'd been warned that thieves in New Orleans like to come after people who explore the city's graveyards at night. He said he'd encountered this man twice already in this episode, explaining that the man was on foot, had a book bag and approached him, passed him, and then circled around while he was outside of his car walking through the Mausoleum. He feels a bit shaky from this encounter and says he doesn't know if he's going to exit his vehicle again, but he follows his audience's risky advice and does anyway. As Franco is out, walking around the creepy stone grave solo, he starts to feel unsafe again, and after a time returns to his car. He is examining an above-ground crypt from his vehicle when he hears some footsteps. He continues to drive around the cemetery, saying he heard something from behind his car that sounded like a knocking. He says he can't get out of his car again because he thinks someone else is there. In fact, there he is. After turning around, Franco zooms in on a man walking toward him down the cemetery road. What is this man doing in a graveyard at night? Is he too live streaming for YouTube? It certainly doesn't look like it. Franco doesn't know what to do but continued to drive, passing the guy seemingly without issue. He speeds up, getting out of the graveyard as quickly as possible. As he tries to find the exit, he says the man was literally chasing after his car. He says he felt the man hit the back of it, and as he flees, explains that he must get out of there and find a safe place. He then warns viewers not to enter a New Orleans graveyard at night, as if we needed any warning after watching this. Some things are urban myth, then again some myths and legends have some basis in reality. Published to YouTube in June of 2007 by Heather Stone, the video shows Crybaby Bridge on Burroughs Road in Livonia, Georgia. Apparently there are several Crybaby bridges in the state of Georgia. They're a thing of legend. This is one of those legends. Don't be fooled by the modern concrete bridge linking the county's 2 sides. The old iron bridge still stands alongside it, and that's where the haunting happens. The video shows a group of friends investigating the local legend. According to the video, the story goes that a new mother was riding home in a carriage with her newborn baby, and as they crossed the bridge, the horse became spooked. He jumped up, causing the carriage to tip over, and the occupants both lost their lives. From there, you might hear a baby cry or haunting horse hooves on the road, or you might just see the woman in white searching for her baby over the bridge. When you come near her, she disappears. Will the group see any of this? You're about to find out. The group arrives on the bridge, exits the vehicle, and one of the girls screams the necessary words.
What? Go for it, Tiffany. Yeah, sure, you can do it. Kill your baby, lady!
A moment later, you can hear the car doors lock. The car alarm then goes off and sounds as though it's going haywire.
What? What? What's going on? What are you talking about? Oh my gosh! Oh, you are kidding! Oh my gosh!
They all clamber back into the vehicle, and as the driver is attempting to turn on the lights, you see the figure of a woman flash into view ahead on the bridge. Screaming ensues, lots of it.
Oh my god! Melissa, turn on the lights! Turn on the lights! Turn on the lights!
Although there are plenty of naysayers in the comments, at least to attest to the validity of these girls' claims. Brandon Childs notes, I live over here by this. You get used to hearing screaming girls and sometimes guys in the middle of the night, but I do believe there's something about that bridge. Weird stuff, man. Weird is an understatement. South Korean ghost hunter Uni Swoon has caught some really weird things on tape while exploring this abandoned house of spirits. His method of ghost hunting is to pretend he does not believe in the spirits, which he hopes will anger them enough to show themselves one way or another.
어차피 니들이 나한테 물건 던지고 뭘 한다고 한들 다 바람이라고 생각할 거야.
I've never seen somebody use reverse psychology on the spirit world, but it seems to work just as well on them as it does on the living. It could be the wind moving the curtains, but the K2 meter lighting up shortly after has me thinking it's a ghost.
자, EVP 녹음기 한번 해볼게요, 형님들. 녹음을 해보고 일단 그 다음에 좀 잘 맞아 들어간다고 하면 고스트 박스를 켜봐도 돼.
Uni Swoon verifies the paranormal activity in this haunted place with other ghost hunter equipment. It's creepy, but notice there seems to be a lot of wind judging from the way this material is flapping. I was wondering if a strong breeze could set off this motion detector. Let me know. The investigator is very thorough and further confirms this place is haunted with facial recognition software.
와, 씨발 대박 문 앞쪽이 여기 있네. 지금 야 밑에 뭐 밑에 하나 더. 야 뭐야. 야 애기도 있어?
After his camera detects a face, it starts to flash green where it just was. Is this strange glitch a sign of residual paranormal energy? This is also an object moving back and forth on the door in its wake, although that could be the wind. When he moves the phone over the stroller, he sees the spirit protecting it. It's not from just one angle either. It's whenever it passes over the object, which makes me think this ghost sighting video's real. I guess even the spirit world is protective of its young. A YouTube channel called Adventure with Hodge goes on an urban exploration of an abandoned factory, and it turns out to be one of the scariest places he has ever explored. Something feels wrong with the creepy location from the very start, and they begin to wonder if this place is really abandoned after all.
Eerie, not gonna lie.
The basement feels downright spooky with only one flashlight between them. The urban explorers are too scared to venture far, especially when they discover a creepy message spelling out their fate.
You're in his home. Wonderful. I don't like that at all. Listen. We just decided to go back in the basement. We just heard something. That was loud.
On the basement floor is another haunting discovery in the form of an abandoned jacket. Why would someone leave their jacket down here? Hodge wonders. I personally couldn't help but notice it's kid-sized, and this is certainly no place for a child. Someone scary must have taken them to this horrible location. someone twisted and deranged. The two friends are beyond creeped out, but at the same time curious enough to go exploring past the creepy warning on the wall. Bad decision.
It's time to go. Time to go.
Okay, we're gone. I'm sorry.
Somewhere in the darkness, a heavy object falls over, and the loud, scary noise they capture on tape makes them cry out in surprise and run away while apologizing. This part deserves a closer analysis because it's scary stuff indeed. They are exploring the middle of the basement, nothing within arm's reach, when an unseen object either crashes or is thrown to the ground. Hodge is holding the camera and you can see his friend's elbow right before the scary noise is caught on video, so he's standing too close. Whatever caused this unexplained event can't be them. Plus, listen to how he later describes this creepy encounter caught on tape.
Majority of the video, we were exploring the basement of this abandoned factory. We kept hearing noises, felt like something was following us, and lo and behold, something followed us and we were chased out the basement.
I see no signs that he's lying, no deceit in his eyes, only enthusiasm at the thought of having a scary and maybe even paranormal encounter caught on tape, so I believe this creepy video is as real as he says. Demons reside in this house. Published by Spooky Gotham in May of 2022, the ghost hunter heads inside to explore and is presented with some unruly activity. While he's outside of the demon house, he hears something inside.
Okay.
And when he heads inside, it's made clear that he's not alone. Listen closely.
உண்மையாவாக்கா எனக்கு ரொம்ப கஷ்டமா இருக்கு அதை கேக்குறப்பே.
Gotham continues to look around while the demons follow. He then hears what sounds like footsteps.
உங்களுக்கு என் கூட பேசணும்னு விருப்பம் இருக்கா? கா நீங்க தாராளமா என் கூட பேசலாம்க்கா.
And then something is wailing in the distance. He finds bare footprints on the floor. They look fresh. The demons get louder. Should he stay? It looks like the demons are inviting him to leave. If I were him, I would heed that warning. Paranormal investigator Rochelle G goes exploring this haunted abandoned house and experiences what she calls decades of anger. Built in 1920, this place could never keep a family for more than a few years before something terrible happened to them. Police were always involved. Something about this house makes people upset, volatile. The longer they stay here, the worse it gets. Rochelle can feel the paranormal energy as soon as she sets foot within this haunted place. Abandoned are the families, but not their memories or their presence. She finds a room that's creepier than the others, one that's been barricaded from the inside. Listen closely. What you're about to hear is one of the scariest EVPs ever caught on camera. Somebody has pushed a dresser under the knob of this door, like they wanted to keep a family member from coming in to get them. When Rochelle opens the door, a creepy, disembodied voice floats in her ear and whispers, "Hey." This room looks like a remodeled front porch that was only halfway finished before the family vacated. Above her is an unfinished attic space that makes many people feel creeped out. There's no way to get up there, so she keeps exploring this room and finds more creepy things caught on camera. Dozens of family photos next to an old blue chair. Leaving family photos is weird enough, but why in a giant unorganized pile? It looks like somebody thumbed through them, one by one, while sitting on the chair, perhaps looking at pictures of their family members one last time, while waiting for the police to arrive. It's a creepy thought and we'll never know the real explanation, and when Rochelle tries to communicate, the spirits are too angry to cooperate.
Do you need help?
If this video is real, and I think it is, then this is one haunted abandoned house that should have stayed hidden. I doubt anything good happens to those who dare go exploring its hateful walls. Thank you so much for getting me to 30,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 40,000 subscribers next. Thank you.